Stop screwing around and start!
PointyStarVio here. Today we're going to be doing a deck profile on UAs. I call them pure UAs because I'm not using very many cards besides just UA monsters, but a special lineup. This is a very interesting deck. I really like the deck. It's really fun, and I have a lot of fun playing this deck, and it's really cheap because you can get almost the entire deck common. So without further ado, we'll start this. A lot of people have actually been requesting a Ghost Trick update. I've been working on it. As soon as the new ban list releases, I will show you the list. The reason why I'm waiting is I'm running one card I think might get hit on the ban list, so I just want to make sure that it doesn't before I actually upload it. So without any ado, we'll just kind of move on. First card we're playing is 3 copies of Midfielder. This card, in my opinion, is the most important card in the deck because it's normal summonable without having to tribute. I hate having to be reliant on your opponent's monsters, and I also hate having to tribute cards because this card is the monster you can summon to get all your plays, like all of them intact. This card is, in my opinion, like the most important monster that you can run. That's why we are running 3. Sorry about that. Moving on, we are playing 3 copies of the Mighty Slugger. This card is a 2800 Armides because when you summon it, it gains 500 because of the field spell. And just being able to attack and your opponent can't do anything about it. When you get 2 of these out effectively, you're amazing. The first turn, if you get a good hand, you can set up by going first turn, poke for damage, set up an ace, second turn, summon a slugger, and it's just, you can do a lot of things. And by the third turn, you have a perfect setup where you can just keep bouncing back things or swapping things out. And so, Slugger is a very important card for the deck. Because we are also playing 3 copies of Slugger, we are also playing 3 copies of Ace. Ace is really good. This card is a discard 1, and it's mini Quasar, so you can negate and destroy something that they do, which is awesome. It's only during your opponent's turn, but with 25 wall, it's just amazing. You summon it in defense, your opponent can't really do much about it, and your opponent has to waste cards to get around this effect. The only other UI we're playing, I'm playing 1 copy of Goalkeeper. I have not liked it that much. I mean, 2 is okay, and I've been considering going up to 2, but I do not like it because level 6 doesn't let you do really any kind of Xyz play. You don't need Xyz, but they're always nice to have the option, and he is just, his 1000 attack doesn't help the deck very much at all. It's just the fact that he can protect Perfect Ace, so you can guarantee to get Perfect Ace's effect off, which is why he's okay. For the only UA monsters we're playing, I'm currently playing 2 copies of Spell Striker. This way you can play MX Saber Invoker. I don't actually have an extra deck put together right here because it's not that important, but the Spell Striker lets you do that. It lets you just pull out an MX Saber Invoker really quick to summon a Midfielder, get an attack boost on the Invoker to 21, and then you can attack, or bounce back to summon a Slugger. It's really nice, as well as it's just a way that you can special summon a monster to tribute in case if your opponent breaks your field and you do not have a Stormforth. The only other card we're running is TG Striker. I've had this card in here for a while, this little 3 monster lineup, and I have used these monsters as just beaters because they gain attack 2 when the field spell triggers, which is amazing. I've played games where I've just beat down with TG Striker. I've almost never synchro summoned, but being able to synchro summon into Yazi is just beautiful because it shuts down Burning Abyss, which is just a tough matchup for this deck. Moving on, we are currently playing 3 copies of the UA Stadium. This card is nice because it just, when you normal summon your UA, you can add a different one, which is really good. So it makes Midfielder the greatest card. And then when you special summon one, everything gains attack. All monsters do. And when all monsters gain 500 attack, it really helps. The other UA spell we're playing is 3 copies of Power Jersey. This card, when you resolve this on the field, that's how you win games. You get a Slugger, double equip Jersey, that's game. Your opponent, it's just an OTK, which is really nice. And double damage is just beautiful. Currently we're playing 2 copies of Terraforming to search for the field spell. I was running 3, I dropped it down to 2 just because I was seeing it wasn't too often because you can discard the extra ones, but I was just seeing that I was running a 41 card deck, and 40 cards just seems to be better instead of actually having the extra searcher, and you do end up discarding Terraforming a lot because you do have the extra field spells, and just being able to have a card that you can just pitch for the effect, because you do have to discard one for Perfect Ace, sorry. He has a discard one to negate, so you want to have cards such as Terraforming just to be able to pitch. We are currently also running 3 copies of Rhoda just because you really want to see your monster. I actually search a lot for TG Striker just because you can special summon it, and Spell Striker because you can special summon it. But you really want to try and get, as soon as possible, all 3 copies of your Midfielder into your hand. I'm currently playing Triple Upstart. It's more so I can use this to draw if I do have a bad hand, but I can also, a big part of this card is you can discard it to negate an effect for Perfect Ace. That is something that's really nice, is you can either use this to draw or use this to discard, and it's really good depending on how many life points you're willing to give your opponent. And you can do huge damage with this deck because of that spell, and because of the fact that your opponent cannot chain to your attacks, and none of their effects resolve because it's so perfect. So Upstart is just, it's really good because of that. We are playing 3 copies of Stormforth because you can recycle your dudes just between your hands by putting the level 4 on the field and then tributing your opponents, because you can resummon them as many times as you need to. This allows you to tribute your opponent's monsters, and it doesn't target, and it's really good against pretty much any deck out there right now. It's just the non-targeting to tribute is really, really good. That's the only reason why I'd be considering running 2 copies of Goalkeeper. So that is those. Moving on, 3 copies of MST. MST is just MST. There's no real other reason. You can negate cards during your opponent's turn, but you do want to blow up their back row as soon as possible, because it's good. You don't want your summons being negated, and you don't have to worry about battle traps, and this card just really helps against that. And the last spell is 1 copy of Raigeki. You can use this to blow up your opponent's field and poke for a lot directly, or you can just discard it. I've only discarded this card once because of that effect. It's just being able to attack and do a lot of damage is great, but then being able to wipe your opponent's board and then attack even more, it's beautiful. For trap lineup, 3 copies of Reckless, just because you do want to have the cards to discard, and I really feel like drawing the whole bunch of extra cards is really good for this deck, just so you can have all the discarding cards so you never run out. And you do not need to draw when you have the UA field spell out, because you just keep adding new ones to your hand. And for the last traps, we are running 1 Mirror Force as a surprise factor. I decided this over Deep Prison because you don't really worry about that. It's just being able to fight a swarming field is really nice, and this gets around Leo, which is something the deck had a little bit of trouble getting around for a while, when you don't have the perfect hand, and this card just really helps that. We're playing 1 copy of Warning just because 2000 and negate the summon is great. You don't have to worry about effects once again. You don't have to worry about a lot of things, so just being able to stop that 1 big moss monster is really good. And the last card is 1 copy of Howling. A Battlegaurd Howling is an interesting card. When a warrior type monster you control is targeted for an attack or an effect of some sort, you bounce the opponent's monster and then you inflict damage equal to its attack, which is really good because when your opponent summons Shark Knight, flip this up, put Shark Knight back in the extra deck, and then they take 21, and that a lot of times can resolve for game. You just have a really, really good field, and it's really nice for that reason. That is the UA deck. You can run a lot of synchros. I would run cards like Yazi or Black Rose just to help get in quench situations, but you don't really need to run any of the synchros or XYZs because you play a lot of games just off these monsters. This is just a quick fun deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that, and as always, have a wonderful day. Yeah.